And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
Let's get to what we're talking about here, my friend. So we had a little Marty Jannetty mayhem this week. Anyone that watches the show knows we're pretty close friends with Marty, and Marty also. Look at this. I thought I crossed her name out, but off of social media, his now wife wrote, "Keeps calling. I keep recording it so the world will know exactly what kind of person you are. I think I may need to go live, explain my side since you live in a fantasy. I will answer questions live and play recordings. Keep it up, Marty Jannetty. You don't want me to tell all. You don't suggest you stop now or leave me alone and stop harassing." So if anyone doesn't know, I got a call from Marty and he was having a fallout with his wife, and hate to bring it up on the show, but tried to reach out to Marty to see if he wanted to come on and talk about it, but he has turned off his cell phone. It doesn't work. It goes straight to nowhere. It's out of service.
Right.
So I won't play the recording I sent you, Jimmy, but when I sent it
Yeah.
to you while I was on vacation, what did I write? I'm like, this is what I got to deal with on a regular basis, right? What did you think about that recording?
Well, how much do you want me to divulge of that recording? Because, that recording had some pretty heavy shit on it. You know what I'm saying?
You do what you wanted to. You do what you think you need to do.
Well, first of all, I remember Marty saying on the message, like, I don't want you to, put this on Facebook or talk about this. True or false?
He says, don't put it on Facebook, or he did not give us that direct line, Jimmy. He said, do not put it on Facebook or whatever
it is you do.
Right.
Or whatever it is you do. Right.
Right. So I'm not putting it on Facebook. But you know what? No, on a serious note, we got to address the Marty Jannetty situation, dude. It's
Well, I'll tell you what. I will let you, since this is what you've got to deal with, and I don't envy you for it.
right.
Why don't you tell me what you thought about what he said, and I will do my best to,
So
back
Marty,
you up. I mean, I know what he said, obviously, but
Marty's wife went to here's another Facebook post. I can't really read it, but it's Marty retaliating. I guess they had a falling out, and Marty
Right.
continues to throw her out of the house, right?
Right.
And again,
right,
they're putting this out for public consumption.
Right.
They've since taken it down. If people could read that, go ahead. Like I said, my production is not the greatest, so I tried to fit as whatever we could. Marty is really beginning to concern me. He had a podcast, right?
yeah.
With Savage, Party with Marty. I think he did the best he could with it. I think the love for Marty Jannetty has to do with his craziness or his antics when it comes to podcasting, but he's not easily controlled, Jimmy. And I saw some really good sides of Marty where he wasn't, I guess, drinking, and he's a really intelligent guy, and I was very highly impressed. But
Yeah.
he seems not to be able to get his shit straight. And you're talking about an iconic wrestler. I mean, if you talk to anybody in the know about pro wrestling when it comes to Marty Jannetty, when he was part of the Rockers or the Midnight Rockers, whatever you want, Midnight Rockers, he was the star. He was the man. He had better mic skills. At the time, he had better wrestling skills at the time. After the barbershop, that's where it all fell apart. Marty just seemed to fall apart, or I don't know how to analyze Marty, Jimmy. I don't, from his antics of talking about wanting to fuck his daughter. Remember that
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Killing the guy at the bowling alley with a brick.
Right.
To what we witnessed when we first had him in studio at that signing. Marty's a wonderful guy, but it's certainly becoming a problem, in my opinion.
I think that it's like a Ric Flair. What I mean by that is that Marty's Marty's reality and Marty's stage life intertwined to the point where it became so confusing. Marty could no longer distinguish when he's Marty Jannetty, the person. He's now become more Marty Jannetty, the wrestler. Ric Flair is probably the original Richard Fleer, who wanted to be Dusty Rhodes Jr. And I know so many things about Ric Flair through Karen when Rick was young and when he was first coming up, and how Wahoo McDaniel convinced him to be Dusty Rhodes' son was ridiculous and told him to just change the spelling on his last name. It was Wahoo who did that, by the way, and said change your spelling to Flair, Flair, and be yourself. Ric Flair became what a lot of the guys in the rock business become. They lose touch with reality. Marty has lost touch with reality. Marty, you know we love you. So you can take it any way you want and say, they're just sensationalizing my problems. You put your problems out there publicly, Marty. Don't blame anybody else. It's your fault that everybody is forced to speculate about you because they care about you. What Mike and I are doing right now, we're talking about somebody we do actually care about. Correct,
Absolutely.
Mike? I mean,
Absolutely.
when I heard what I heard on the tape, I thought to myself, here we go again. Is this another bowling alley situation? You know what I mean? Where it's all puff and smoke.
Well,
Look,
let me share something with you, Jimmy. So I was like, you know how endearing I find Missy Beefcake, right?
yeah.
She's a fucking wonderful lady, but she went and married Marty Jannetty, and from seeing
Mi-
how Marty was. Missy, she got ordained, and she married
Oh,
Marty,
yes. Okay.
right?
Yes. 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 That was
And
about a week after Karen and I got
that
married.
is
Correct?
correct. Yep, that's
Yeah.
right.
Go
And
ahead.
unfortunately, they made the dirt sheets, and you didn't. What kind of bullshit is that, dude?
Well, we were good news, and I'm not a former rocker. Well, I'm a rocker, but I'm not
But
a
not a
former
rocker.
rocker. I was never in
So
a band with Sean. So
I did say to Missy, I thought it was a mistake marrying them because Marty can be a little bit humiliating towards people. But anyway, Missy explained to me they were already married or some bullshit. I don't know. But I will tell you that
they have a long history, Mike.
I agree
That much
with
I
what
know.
you're saying. He still thinks he's a rocker.
Right.
And he doesn't realize that he's going to live. Like, if he lives, he's going to have this long, lonely life. And here's this woman that loves him and wants to take care of him. And I just,
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, I don't think he treats her right, dude, to be honest with you.
Um, You know what though? I mean, I because I don't really know the dynamic, and neither do you. I'm going off the voicemail, and I'm not going to repeat everything unless
Right.
if you feel comfortable to repeat something. Of course, I'll back it if you do. But I got that. Now look, every relationship is obviously different, but the most evil person I ever met was an ex. Okay, and what she did was so underhanded and so wrong and put me in such a traumatic experience, which in the end turned out to be all puff, smoke, and mirrors. But I was processing and all this garbage, and it was not. Meanwhile, the person is having a fucking affair, and I got personal emails the day before from such said person how they wanted to put whipped cream on my Louisville Slugger. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So when I read what I read about how she would know that a certain door to the house is open, and all of a sudden in walks some fucking thug that wants to beat up an older man. Marty is not young. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, well, if you send somebody into my motherfucking house, now again, how true this all is, do we really
Well,
know?
the weird
You
thing, I
know,
did get a phone call
but
after that, and she was there, and they
right.
started screaming about that situation too, and she was denying something happened.
Listen, man,
I don't
I don't
think what
believe
he
for one.
said happened, but
If someone did walk in that door, I do not believe that it's a coincidence out of nowhere under the circumstances that some stranger said, "Hey, I think I'll try this back door tonight."
right.
Okay? I have dealt with the worst of the worst. Satan does appear in human form.
Mm,
I've met her. You
mm.
understand what I'm saying? They are out there, okay? They are out there. Evil spirits can pop into any body they goddamn feel like. I don't care if that sounds loony to some people, but the book I read, I take very seriously, you know? And if you don't think that there was an evil spirit inside Napoleon or inside Adolf Hitler or inside my good old buddy Charlie Manson, Mike, then you just aren't paying attention. That's all
Jim,
there is to it,
Jimmy,
you
let
know?
me ask you something. Do you think
Yeah.
just put a picture of Sean and Marty up
What a
there, right?
great team they were. What
They
two
were.
good-looking guys,
Do
amazing
you
in-ring
do you
workers.
think that Marty just never got over Sean becoming this
Never,
iconic figure,
never.
and Marty is just a mess to this day?
Bingo. Bingo, Mr. Monty. Bingo. Ha, and they say you're not a pro wrestling expert, those fucking morons. Bingo. Of course he never got over it. Do you think that Jakey Lee is still over how Sharon Osbourne bounced him from Ozzy? Ozzy's just as but Ozzy's bigger than the Rockers.
Right.
I mean, here comes the guy who comes in and fills Randy Rhodes' shoes. How did you like Shot in the Dark? How did you like Bark at the Moon? That's some pretty good goddamn guitar playing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How would you like to be shut out of something that you know, just like Marty knew, if the Rockers stay together or if look, we just watched Jey Uso get a goddamn belt. You couldn't have done that for Marty. You couldn't have figured out a good push for Marty.
Well, they
You
did.
think
They gave him an IC title, dude.
yeah, but they could have done more from Marty over the years. Marty's also his own worst enemy. That's the problem.
But you're hitting it on the head right there,
That's
Jimmy.
the
You're right.
problem.
He's like superstar Billy Graham. He cannot be trusted. He can't listen,
Well,
dude.
here's the you know what? You're right. He cannot be trusted, but why can he not be trusted? Because just like superstar Billy Graham, he cannot be tamed.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right.
That's the biggest problem of them all. You know? I mean, I pray for that. Wouldn't it be wonderful if Marty did a CM Punk? Think about it, because CM Punk couldn't be tamed, correct? He couldn't be. He had to leave. He had to go do his own fucking thing. He goes to other places. He gets in fucking physical altercations with the people. He can't be tamed, right? But then something happens. I mean, you marvel at it all the time. I love the fact that you're always able to give somebody that second chance. See, that's what people don't realize about you, and it pisses me off as your co-host to constantly have people not think that you're not fair. So when Punk fucking came back and had that epiphany, whatever it was, I pray for Marty to have that. Marty Jannetty could wake up tomorrow. Listen, I still think, despite everything he's done to himself, and yes, he has a foot problem. I get all of that. I think Marty looks pretty goddamn good when he's sober. You know what I mean?
Jimmy, what you're saying is incredible, but here's my fear.
He's got to get back to
If
it.
Marty's on his deathbed, he's gonna, I know in his mind he keeps saying, because I've heard him a few times, and he's said that he doesn't really respect a common man. You know what I mean? He's a wrestler, right? He thinks what he did is super special, and there's nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing. When he's on his deathbed, dude, he's going to be like, what could I have really been? Because in the end of it, you know,
He,
his legacy is becoming a joke, is what I'm trying to say.
he won't be alone. I need to say that. He won't be alone, because most of us do wind up on our deathbed thinking about all the different possibilities.
Sure. But
all right, so he won't be alone in that. But I don't look. I've learned to do this. I've stayed consistent about this. Whether it's Mr. McMahon, whether it's Joe Paterno, whether it's in Marty's case, whether it's Marty Jannetty, I have learned to separate the career. And not, you know what? The hardest one has been Benoit. Okay, because I really won't watch Benoit's matches. That's just too far. All right, and I'm sure you'd agree with me on that.
100%.
But as far as Marty goes, I'm still able to divide it. Marty Jannetty, the pro wrestler, was a first ballot Hall of Famer who would be in the Hall of Fame if Marty wasn't so busy trying to be Ozzy Osbourne snorting ants in 1986 to impress Motley Crue. Marty, you don't need to impress anybody anymore. Your career was impressive and still is impressive enough. Everybody looks up to you. You don't have to think you're a loser. You're not a loser. Get your head straight, get a good, decent, honest agent, and book yourself from here to the end of time, because you'll find yourself not only sober, but well paid. Since you won't be spending your money on drugs, you'll be able to save, and your job will be, now get this, Marty, because could you imagine if this was our job every day, Mike? Your job will be to fly from city to city to see this wonderful country, to see states I've never seen, that I can only hope to see, and get to sit at a table and have everybody there happy to see you and to want your picture and to want you to sign something for them because they remember you as a great professional wrestler. You are a legend. Stop doing this to yourself. You're only hurting yourself. But in the meantime, there is an osmosis. You're taking down everybody who still fucking loves you and believes in you. So if you want to get mad at us for saying these things, bro, I wouldn't even hold it against you. All right. But you've made a lot of your personal things public, and we're just trying to help you.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
what else to say, Mike. I mean, he's
no.
trapped.
Well said.
Don't wind up like Sonny, please.
Well, I'm not. But you know
Don't
what?
wind up overdosing.
There's another player in this, and to his wife, Addie. I think I'm saying it right.
Right.
Listen,
Of course.
there's plenty other fish in the sea, young lady, and no matter how much you love someone, if it's poison, it's poison, and you need to get out. Right? You
Right.
need to get out. Life is too
Right.
short.
You know what I
And
told you? You're correct. And when I told you, when I saw Marty briefly at the gathering, I was coming out of the elevator and he was with Addie, and Addie was very distant. I thought to myself, well, maybe it's because of the history of us with Marty on the show. But
right.
now that I know what you sent me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at it completely differently. She did not look happy, and I'm like, oh God, what's going on here? You know?
Well, you know what, people, you know what, dude, you, me, everybody else, we all get shit on, right? So it's like, it's got to be kind of tough getting shit on all the time. And you know what? That's the other thing too. If you're as good as a person, I think you are, Marty, then if you really don't feel that way about this person, then
Right.
set them free. Don't give them mixed messages. When someone's
Do
really
do
in
you
love with
think
you, it's like,
do you think that he spent a lot of time during their relationship talking about all the negativity and all the things that hurt him in the business? Because that's hard to
if you
listen to
want to
all the
ask
time.
me my opinion, I think
Yeah.
Marty spends a lot of time speaking about himself. And
That's
that
it.
in a relationship is exhausting. Okay.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
when it's always about the one person, eventually you get, look, we discussed it. If you were married to, you know, you know, Nikki Bella,
Oh
it
God.
would be fucking exhausting, bro.
Oh God.
Exhausting.
No. I know.
Um,
Absolutely. I
Listen,
agree.
I also posted something I thought was pretty funny. Maybe
Okay.
funny, but not. Maybe coming off this show just shows maybe the case. But when you Google us on, one of the main things that come up is a write up on us, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it because we haven't
Yeah. What
discussed
was
that.
that all about? Fill me in.
They claim that the two are bullies who use their power to
They're bullies.
influence, to intimidate, and exploit others in the pro wrestling world, like we're doing right now, I guess. Right.
Oh
Critics
yeah.
of Monty and
Oh.
Farrell argue their behavior is damaging to the sport and to the individuals who are affected by their bullying. Thoughts on that?
Right. Oh
What do
well.
you like of that write up, buddy?
Well, I love it because first of all, someone finally acknowledged the fact that we do have power and influence.
Yeah, right. I agree.
So you have that right there. Now, bullying sounds to me a lot more like liberal whining.
Mm,
Okay, because when you and I talk about somebody's problems, they usually turn out to not only be true what we're observing, and by the way, every time we do observe someone's problems, don't we always offer our support and a peaceful solution to like how maybe you can better your situation? We do it all the time. So like for example, the Matt Riddle situation. Matt Riddle was his own worst enemy. I mean, it sounds a little familiar with Marty, but Matt Riddle was his own worst enemy. and he was doing a lot of things that he definitely should not have been doing. We always said on air, I know, at least I know I did, that I was a huge fan of his character. I thought his talent level was to the max, and there's so much more he could accomplish. Be a better family man. Don't have chicks to the side. And at the end of the day, take your craft a lot more seriously because you could go a lot further. Well, what happened? At the end of the day, they let him go for the things that this wasn't bullying. This was us observing what he was doing. And a
Yeah,
lot of what he was doing was public. These guys make their shit public and then they don't want anyone to have an opinion on it. Well, then don't make it public. Why don't you take a page out of Joe DiMaggio and keep your shit to yourself? So this way we don't have to have an opinion on what you've already thrown out there. A lot of these guys have gotten filthy rich over this business, and then they want the fans to not say a word. I'm sorry if our opinion doesn't always align with you, but there's an option. Watch something else. Okay? We're not true bullies. You want to know who a bully is? We've seen a bully. What was it? Scam, whatever his name was. Oh my God, that's a bully.
right.
Like making fun of dead people, doing stuff like that. I mean,
Well,
they
that's
can't
just
sell.
disgraceful, dude. There's a level. Look,
You
we're
know,
having a discussion about Marty Jannetty and and because we care about him, right? We're
of
not,
course we do.
but you know
Uh,
what? We're also going to keep how we feel, whether
do
people
you
agree with us
do
or
you
not. That's their choice.
do you remember me begging Sonny on the air to get better friends before she got herself put in jail?
Yes, sir, I do.
Begging her. I was like, do you realize what kind of life you could have? I don't understand a lot of it because, wrestling and professional sports and music are so much different than any other profession because after you're done, because they all usually have a time limit.
Mm,
As a wrestler, you should probably quit by 50. You really should. You know what I mean? As a musician, in the eyes of a record company, you hit 40. You're ancient. They're looking for the next 20-year-old with Mr. Brightside. You
right.
know what I mean? They're not looking for you. And in sports, Joe DiMaggio, did you ever think about this? Joe DiMaggio lived over 80 years, and only 12 of his years alive did he play for the New York Yankees. He spent the rest of his life getting to meet fans, getting to sign pictures, getting to be treated like gold, probably getting a free dinner wherever he went. These wrestlers are in a very, very special business that they could be very happy with post career. And a lot of them are. We've seen a lot of that's why I'm still upset that the Patriot passed away. That guy had it figured out.
He did
He
have it figured
he
out.
had it he
But
had it
you know
figured
what,
out.
dude?
You know?
It's almost like that's what you. I don't know.